Great. Thanks, Paul, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for turning up and listening to this talk. I hope you find it interesting. I'll start with the pitch, Tier 1 project in the Tier 1 location. You can see we've got an exploration target there we put out a couple of months ago of 200 million tonnes at around 8 to 11%. The drilling now is sort of proving that up now, so that scale is coming to our fruition. And location, we're about 2.5 hours drive south of Darwin in the historic Pine Creek mining district. So Tier 1 project in a Tier 1 location, which is unusual for a lot of graphite projects around the world. A bit of a summary of what's coming up. We own 100% of the project. It's got fantastic geology. We've got 20 kilometres of strike length of graphitic schists, which we're currently drilling a part of that. Historic work has indicated there is flake graphite there, which is obviously what you want for your end product use. The graphite market now is forecast to move into deficit based on electric vehicle usage over the next 5 to 10 years, so we're well placed to take advantage of increased demand for graphite going forward. And a market cap is just under $20 million today. We've got $5 million cash. We did a $3.6 million raising about a month ago, so we're cashed up for all of the work we've got planned in the forward, and obviously strong news flow coming up with our drilling results. Now I'll just go through a brief little discussion of the graphite market. Graphite traditionally has been used as a industrial mineral for refractory uses, fire retardant and things like that. Some industry pundits now are suggesting that it's turning over now, and you're finding now graphite's being more used for EV uses than industrial usage. And that graph on the left-hand side there is the projected demand for graphite through EVs over the next, say, 15 years, and you can see where we are now, at the very bottom end of that curve. So going forward, there'll be a lot more demand for graphite. And the graph on the right-hand side there, obviously the dark brown line there, it shows you that deficit going forward as well. So at current production rates and current reserves, there'll be a big deficit going forward, so that'll have to be addressed by projects such as ours, hopefully. Again, an idea of how many mines are needed to fill that gap in the future. About 95 mines of the average size now will be required to meet that demand. So graphite is in significant deficit going forward on current forecasts. Now, those two little tables are on the right-hand side. That's estimated production for this year. You can see the mining there. China dominates the production with about 65% of the graphite mined. The rest of it comes out of, most of it comes out of East Africa. On the smaller processing table there is the processing output of spherical graphite, which is the end use for vehicles. And you can see there that China produces 100% of it. So not only is China the biggest producer, they're also the biggest consumer. So pricing now for graphite is very opaque, not very transparent. You can see now that graphite prices have dropped in the last 12 months, and a lot of that's due to internal Chinese economics rather than anything else. But the increased use of EVs going forward should smooth out those price fluctuations now, and I think you'll see that the price is forecast to increase over the next few years in the medium term. That graph on the left-hand side there just shows you the supply risk, obviously, which is highlighted by the fact that China with 100% of the production for battery graphite, and the importance to energy with the increased usage in EVs. So on those red circles there, most of those are battery minerals, rare earths, lithium, nickel and things like that. So graphite's forecast to be a critically needed mineral in the future. Most OECD countries have got it listed on their list of strategic and critical minerals, Australia, Europe, North America, the like. So it's a mineral in demand in the future. Now back to our project. Like I said, we're about 2.5 hours drive south of Darwin, near Pine Creek. We've got a suite of projects there, but we're focusing now on the Leyland Graphite project. It's about a half-hour drive out of Pine Creek. It's very well serviced with infrastructure. We're right near the main north-south infrastructure corridor going into Darwin, so you've got power lines, high-voltage power lines, railway lines, gas pipelines, sealed highways nearly to the project site. So it's a fantastic place for to do work up there. It's on a perpetual pastoral lease, so that extinguishes native title. So that would make any future development a bit quicker. The geology there, you can see we've got a contact zone of carbonaceous shales against granite, and the granite's cooked up the shales into schists, and it's metamorphosed the carbon into graphite. So we've got a continuous strike length of 20 kilometres along there, which obviously bodes well for any future upgrades and any exploration work. Because if you look at our exploration target, which is coming up in the next slide after this, There was historic work done previously for copper and uranium. One of the previous explorers resampled some of their old RC holes and got those results there, and that's what first alerted us to the fact that this was a sizable graphite project. The core hole in the middle there, TALDD001, that was a core hole drilled from surface, and there's samples there which I'll show you later, which they assayed and also got thin section work done as well, which we get our flake size estimate from. But the exploration target, which was put out of 200 to 250 million tonnes, is based on that small little area there, which is about 25% of the total strike length. So it gives you an idea of the potential there. So there's a lot of tonnes of graphitic schist there. We released some drilling results on Monday. We've been drilling for about 2 weeks now. We've got about half a dozen results back there. You can see the highlights there on those on that plan view is 137 metres at 7.3, 130 at 6, 139 at 7. It's the exploration target was based on a true width of 100 metres, and these drilling intersections are proving that up. I'll go through now. You can see those sections there marked A to G. I'll go through these quickly just to highlight the geology there and how wide this deposit is. I'll go through them starting from A. And you can see there that's 2 diamond holes we're currently drilling there. The LEDD04, the deeper one, went down to 360 metres and it stopped in graphitic schist because we ran out of drill rods. We've got 200 metres there of graphitic schist, and that's we'll be getting assayed in the next few weeks. And we're currently drilling the hole above LEDD05, and we're down to about 150 metres, and we haven't hit the hanging wall contact yet. But you can see those scale bars on the top there indicating the true thickness, the 100 metres there. This is the next section there. Again, we've got those wide intersections at a good grade with 100 metre of true width there with assays pending. Same here, 100 metres wide with those good grades there, 130 at 6.6 and 137 at 7.3. And also within those zones, you've got these high grade areas of up to around 10 to 11% as well. Again, 100 metres thick. It's relatively simple geology. There are a few little dikes and things like that that cut through it, but generally it's graphitic schist all the way down with fairly consistent grades as well. That's the old section which was drilled by the previous explorers. You can see they took little slabs of core down the hole and assayed them, and they also took the thin section work, and I'll show you one of those soon. And that gives us an idea of the flake size in the deposit, or an estimate of it based on limited information, which gives us the confidence that going forward we will have something we can work with after processing. That's a section in the middle of the zone there. You can see the zone there is again 100 metres thick or a bit wider, up to 120, 130, with assays pending there. And this is all news flow which will come out in the coming weeks and months. That's the last section there towards the east. Again, you can see there you've got 10% graphite at surface. It's a bit narrow here down to 50 metres, but again the grades are quite consistent as well, around that 8 to 11% mark, which is what the exploration target was. So at this stage the drilling is looking like it's proving up what we've got on the exploration target. And there's just a summary there of the thicknesses there, the true thickness of the ore body there. There is a zone, and I'll use this little pointer. Doesn't work, does it? Oh, hang on. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah, that little zone there, there's a couple of dams in there. And being the dry season now, the local farmer asked us not to drill around the dam so the stock can get water during the day. So we won't be drilling in that area until probably the end of the dry season or the start of the wet season, or maybe the start of the dry season next year when there's still a bit of water out in the paddock so the stock can get water from other sources. So at this stage we're focusing on drilling out this eastern side here, which we've nearly completed, and drilling out this eastern side here and the western side there. We've got one diamond rig drilling at the moment. The RC rig has gone off site for another job for a few weeks, and it'll come back and we'll fill in the gaps on that eastern side. And we're aiming for a mineral resource sometime early next year. So there's one of those thin sections that was done by the previous explorers about 7 or 8 years ago. And you can see the flaky nature of the schist there, and the graphite is that sort of darker brown material in there. And this particular slide here, the average is about 60 microns, maximum to 120, which is the sort of size flake you want to make into your final spherical graphite for your battery use. But at the moment we're doing a lot of test work in this, so we'll be doing dozens and dozens of these slides to get an idea of the distribution of the flake size and where it is, and the mineralogy as well. You can see there that the PO is pyrrhotite, which is a sulphide. And there's just a summary of that hole there with the flake size, because while grade is important with graphite, it's the end product is the most important thing, and that's the metallurgy. It's your flake size and your recoveries of that flake size. Traditionally, coarse flake has been the preferred product for industrial usage, and it still is, and that's why the coarse or jumbo flake gets a premium price. But the finer flake graphite is preferred for battery use because they spherify or spheroidal, whatever the word is, and they make it spherical by rolling it up into small balls of about 10 to 15 microns. So a smaller flake size is preferred for that. So hopefully this will be consistent throughout the ore body and we get that good flake size for battery use. So just to summarise what I've been talking about, we know we've got the graphitic schist unit. We know it's 100 metres wide based on our current drilling. We know it extends for 20 kilometres within in the tenement because it outcrops, you can map it and walk along it. We know we've got good grades there with our assaying. We know from the historical work we've got a favourable flake size, which we're working on now with more samples coming up to be released in the next couple of months. Outcrops the surface, it's steeply dipping, simple geology, it's amenable for any open cut mining should development occur in the future, and it's also open at depth. Now that's just the program going forward. I've given that first one a big green tick. The drilling now has proved up, there's still more to go, but essentially it's proved up the exploration target model with the widths and the depths and things like that, and also the grades. So it's a matter now of filling in the gaps and getting enough information to estimate that resource early next year. We're collecting samples now for the thin section petrography, and we'll get several dozen of those sort of samples there, as I mentioned, to get an idea of the flake size and etc. We're also when we finish our next core hole, we'll have 4 core holes on the western side of that drilling program. We'll get a couple of composite samples from that and test them at the IMO lab in Perth for flotation characteristics, float recoveries and concentrate grades. That'll start sometime this quarter. And once we get those results back, then we'll plan our next more advanced metallurgy work, which we're looking at probably overseas for that in Germany or China to see the applicability to manufacture spherical graphite out of our product. So just going back to the start there, Tier 1 project in the Tier 1 location. I think we've proven up that exploration target is hopefully will be realised, and it's just a point. Even half of that size exploration target still makes it the largest graphite resource in the country. So it's a sizable project, this, and given it's only 5 kilometres of the 20 kilometre strike length, I think it'll grow into a project of global scale, this one. And the location as well, 2 hours, 2.5 hours drive south of the Port of Darwin, with all of the infrastructure there to transport it out. Quick snapshot there, we've only been listed for 12 months, so we've only got 58 million shares on issue, market cap of $20 million. The directors own 20%, top 20, 56%, so it's pretty tightly held. We've got a lot of news flow coming out in the next few months, so we would expect that share price to increase, hopefully. So thank you very much.